Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the OPP Global, Open Peace Podcast Global. Today we're joined by Jared and Amir. I'm your host, Aboud, and today we're going to be discussing a few articles that we've collected throughout the week. That's what we do with OPP Global. We'll talk about global news, even a little bit of local news, and we'll give our 2 cents on them. Shall we kick it immediately, guys? Or do you have anything to say to the people?
I have a question for the people. Which sandwich is better? A BLT or a burger? Write down in the comments.
Yes, let us know in the comments. An important question for Jared. And stick to the end. We have some philosophy section at the end. Maybe we'll add that to the philosophy section.
As someone who, I'm very confused at the moment because a burger is one thing and then a BLT is a different thing.
Yeah, but they're both sandwiches.
I don't know, man. When I think of a sandwich, I think of bread and cheese, and I don't think of a burger, I don't think
a burger is just a type of sandwich. It's a very specific type of sandwich, but it's still a sandwich. It's like the other question, is cereal a soup? I think it is. It's just cold.
Okay.
Sure.
If
you consider sugary things.
I'm spitting facts, y'all, and you know it.
We'll see what our viewers have to say about it. Apart from that, I just want to wish everyone a good week. I hope everyone's doing well and going into the weekend. Everyone having a good weekend. And yeah, let's get into it, Aboud. I'm sure you got some interesting articles for us.
Yeah, I've collected from you guys. You sent me a little bit, so let's go from there. First one we have: Israel begins targeting Hamas cryptocurrency accounts. And it also says here that Gantz orders security forces to start seizing digital wallets used by the terror groups as part of an online campaign to raise donations to its military wing. So we have been talking about crypto in the last few podcasts we've done, and I did hear from here and there that it has been used by some groups like Hamas, and you can see why it's convenient. What do you think, guys? Why it's convenient for them to use crypto?
Well, crypto would make it so much easier for them to get funding, because as well as also make it very that much more difficult for people to prove where they're getting their funding from. Like if you get a donation or something out of cryptocurrency, unless the person who sent it explicitly admits it, there is no way you can ever prove where crypto came from. That's part of what makes it so popular. So
privacy and these things, and definitely it's easier to move across borders because there's really hard to trace. So what we see here, it says here also the intelligence, technological, and legal tools that enable us to get around our hands on terrorist money around the world constitute an operational breakthrough. I haven't seen a lot of news in Israel about crypto. Did you guys hear about it? Do you think it's coming to Israel?
I've seen news about it. It's definitely here, and people definitely know about it, and it's being invested in, and it's definitely out there. Maybe not as much as the other countries, but I think in terms of Hamas and terrorists and criminals using it, it's something that Bitcoin themselves are going to have to deal with, in terms of safety and security for themselves. So we'll see how it plays out. Some countries are going against crypto because obviously it might hurt their own currency. But I do think that it has a lot of benefits, and it's definitely something to think about for the future. These cryptocurrencies, it's just a question of if they're safe. If Hamas, for example, have a cyber team of a few hundred guys, they can do a lot of mining and Bitcoin grabbing, and potentially then convert that and do a lot of activity with it, right? So it's definitely something that needs to be looked into.
I've heard there's going to be like a nuclear plant that mines crypto also. So there's like, I think we're
Yeah.
still in the early stages. A lot of people think that they like crypto has like, it's kind of like a bubble that's about to burst or something like that. Maybe, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of talk about it that it's still in the early stages. People are
Yeah.
like, a lot of people heard about it, but still gonna update.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the main issue from where I understand it is that there's not really like a system in place to allow people to make transactions using Bitcoin. I mean, like they're like Bitcoin conferences who don't take Bitcoin as payment for like spots and like the cons or whatever, because there's not really a good system in place to receive Bitcoin as payment. That's why like most people, they have Bitcoin, they just transfer its value into like real world currency like USD or euros or something in the real world, British pound.
Right.
Because
like
it
needs to have some utility. So
exactly, and there's not much utility yet. That's the main reason why like I am skeptical of Bitcoin, because there's no way to actually use it yet. Like you can use it in a very limited capacity. There's no widespread system that makes its use as like a way to pay for goods and services yet, that makes it something that people around the world can use all the time. Not yet.
Yeah. Well, some companies like Tesla did kind of touch a little bit on it and said that they're going to accept it, but then they stopped accepting it because it's affecting environment. So we're still in the early stages.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, honestly, if there's anything that comes out of a Musk company, my first thought is this is a publicity stunt. That's the first thing I think of whenever I think about Musk.
He is affecting the crypto world a lot, definitely, with his tweets. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, he's a very influential man, has a lot of money. The second he says anything, you can see the stock market go up and down. That's how much power these rich white men have.
Did you invest in crypto, Jared?
No.
No.
It's not just white men, Jared. I'm pretty sure there's.
I know. I'm making a cheeky joke because, like, I mean, like, if you watch the stock market and then, like, you watch, I don't know, like, the head of the European Bank or the head of the U.S. Federal Reserve, like, they'll say positive things in a speech. You see the market go up. They start saying pessimistic things, market starts to go down. Switch back to positive things, market goes up again. Like, that's how much influence these powerful people have. And by and large, the most powerful financial institutions are led by white men. And, I mean, I know, like, there are women in high positions in places, but I'm just saying statistically, you're probably a man if you're in control of this stuff.
Sure. All right. Next part.
All right.
We have 3,000-year-old inscription bearing name of biblical judge found in Israel. This discovery offers important insights on the connection between the biblical text and historical reality that the researchers said. So I've heard about this. I think the name was, what was it, Amir?
I think it's Yorbavel. Another name.
Yorbavel. That's the thing. It's one of the oldest. I never heard about like an inscription that old. 3,000-year-old. That's definitely one of the oldest.
Yeah, Abu, this is huge. Like in terms of archaeological finds, this is like, a really, really huge find.
Goes back to the time of the judges, right?
Exactly. All the way back 3,100 years ago, near a site called Khirbet. If you go back up, Abud, I think it's just a little bit. Khirbet Eri, which I think is just near Kiryat Gat, which is quite close to Hebron, near Lachish. It's kind of like close to the area of Hebron and Lachish. So we know that there was a lot of activity back then in Judea. So to find something like this from 3,100 years is simply incredible. And I guess, all the maximalists, the people that really, believe the Torah word for word and will be delighted with this find. And it will be more evidence to go in the in the evidence sheet. So I think it's an incredible find that they found this. How do you feel about it, Aboud?
Wow, I mean, there has been like few things that were found that are that old for sure, and what I feel about it is that how are some people who did not believe, for example, it's not necessarily that they're atheists, but at least they didn't believe like any of the history of the Bible happened. So this might make some people at least think that like of the a little bit of the authenticity of the Tanakh, right? The Nevi'im and Tuvim, the prophets and the writings, to some degree, because even the Samaritans themselves, like my community here, they don't necessarily disagree with the prophets and the writings completely, even though we only have the Torah scroll, like the first 5 books, but we do not deny everything that was said in the Nevi'im and Tuvim, prophets and the writings. It's just that we believe it's more like a historical thing for us, maybe not divine as the Torah, but
I see.
Really interesting.
So you kind of put the divinity in the Torah, and then the rest is kind of more of a historical play of the last few hundred years.
Yeah.
I see.
Hey, this is the excavation site that they found. Really cool. Wow.
But you know what I love about these archaeological sites is you can still tell the layout of the buildings just by dusting it off a little bit.
Yeah, you can like even build upon it, so you can like imagine how it was.
Well, it's incredible. I don't know if our viewers are aware, but you can still find things. Like I had a friend of mine from the course who he went to a site that he found on the map. He was looking around a little bit, and he actually pulled up like a Bar Kokhba coin, from the time of Mered Bar Kokhba, the Bar Kokhba rebellion. Yeah. So it really is. History is like underneath your feet here in the Holy Land, and it's so much fun welcoming foreigners over here and showing them around, and then they get to see that. A lot of people from places like America, Canada, which are very new, in comparison to the Holy Land, are really amazed by the amount of artifacts and archaeological.
Right, but like this brings questions, Amir. Like, how would some Palestinians react to, especially the Palestinians who might deny the Israel's like any kind of Israeli kingdom history or something? That's why we have this article to also discuss from the Jerusalem Post. It says Hamas accuses Israel of falsifying Jerusalem history.
Well, I mean, of course, according to them, no Jews ever lived here. This land has been 100% Arab all the time.
It says Israel's effort to falsify history and distort the facts will not help it, and Jerusalem will remain the capital of Palestine and its Arab Islamic identity. So.
Yeah. Which in a way feels very supremacist to me, because, I mean, first off, not every Palestinian is an Arab, and also not every Palestinian is Muslim. They're, I don't know, like...
Well, they're talking about specifically...
Such supremacists.
Yeah, they're talking about specifically the what apparently was a discovery of a section of Jerusalem city wall. Did you hear about this?
Yeah. I've heard about this. I've heard about this
article since 14th of July. Yeah.
Personally, I think that anyone that wants to know the truth is welcome to do their own research and not listen to a spokesperson from Hamas. Use some sense, do your own research, watch some documentaries, look at the evidence, look at what's been found. The evidence for Jewish presence in the Holy Land is very well documented, as is early Christian periods and as is early Islamic periods when Islam came to be and came across the Middle East. So there's all these layers of history here. And for anyone to come and deny somebody's history, I think is really, really insensitive. And it's something that does actually happen on both sides. And I think that we need to kind of stop that narrative from happening and just accept, that there is Palestinian history here. There's a long Palestinian history here, and there is a long Jewish history here in the land, and it's intertwined. And any way you want to look at it, even if you want to go back, and some Palestinians claim to be Canaanites, right, Aboud? I've heard that quite a few times.
Right.
So if you even want to go that far back, you can say that Jews and Arabs here are part of the same people, because actually the Canaanites and the early Israelites kind of intermerged at some point, and there was intermarriage, and we know that there was connections between the communities. So
well, I mean, Canaanites evolved into the Israelites.
Yeah,
Like,
sure,
they're the same people. They just culturally.
Some people, they say that their language also
diverse.
was affected, right?
Sure,
Their language was
sure,
affected by the Hebrews.
sure, definitely.
Well, I mean, the Hebrews developed out of the Canaanites. I mean, like, let me put it this way: the Phoenicians of Lebanon, they are technically a Canaanite people, because in the ancient times, Canaan was not just the Israel area; it was also
Sure.
all the way up north, like up. It was basically the coast of the Levant, and the Phoenician language is so similar to Hebrew. I mean, if you looked at a Phoenician
true.
inscription as a Hebrew speaker, you'd be able to understand a little bit of it.
It's really
Like
similar
that-
to Samaritan Hebrew too, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, that just shows to me that, like, the ancient Israelites or the Hebrew people and the Hebrew language, the people who would eventually become us, didn't move to the area and just start marrying people. They developed out of cultural divergence and cultures changing and shifting from the people who already lived on the land.
Right.
Like, which is why, like, it always weirds me out when people say, like, oh, like, the Hebrews, they moved into the land, when, like, all linguistic and cultural and archaeological evidence shows that, like, we are Canaanites who diverged from other Canaanite peoples into something more unique, which happens all the time. There's I mean, like, that's how, like, basically Europe is so diverse, because at some point, Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, they were all Latin-speaking Romans. Now look at them, entirely separate identities, but they came from the same type of, like, same type of group. That's
I
the same
remember
thing
you
that
had this
happened here.
debate, I think, with Maury Michael, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I did. I probably
You're
did.
right. You're right, Jared. You're right when you're looking at it like that. But I think back to our question of Hamas denying history and deny. I think this really needs to be looked at, and we really need to be tackling this head on. And it needs to be evidence based.
Not politics based.
Not politics based. Not So maybe we even need to do a show, Aboud, of maybe we can do archaeological evidence in the Holy Land, and we can go through some of the amazing finds, because we have finds that really incredible, like the El Amarna tablets are absolutely incredible. There's many Luach Gezer, the Gezer tablets as well, very, very old inscriptions that were found here. And maybe we could do a little timeline of history, because that way everyone can feel welcome here in the Holy Land. Yes, it's the Jewish nation, and it's a democratic Jewish nation, but it's also home to many, many other religions and many other peoples. And I think we should take great pride in our other ethnicities and in the other religions that live here.
Yeah, of course.
100%. I'm on it for this show. I would love to do it, by the way. And I would also love to go to space, which is the next article. What is the article about? Space News .com, and they talk about this is like from the 11th of July. So maybe you heard about it. It's the Virgin Galactic, especially this guy Branson Lott, a friend of Elon Musk, and he said that it was beyond my wildest dream. So it's basically a spaceship that they this team kind of went through space. He said some really amazing things about it. He says, "I'm never going to be able to do it justice." Like speaking about it, it's indescribably beautiful. He also said, describing the view out of the windows earlier, speaking on the stage at the spaceport after the flight, he described the experience as just magical.
Yeah.
So, which talks about kind of like brings the subject of space tourism again, and a lot of people are against it. A lot of people would love to do it. Do you think we would have it one day here?
I mean, look, spend your money on what you want. Go ahead, but
100%. It's look, Abu. The way I see it, it's the future. In all sense and purposes. Like if you think of before we had cars, right? We were going around on horses, which was fine. They could reach a decent speed. You can feed them. They're lovely animals, and you can get around and you can go around quick. But as soon as a car came around,
horses are assholes. Hate horses.
No, they're lovely. They're lovely, majestic animals. Definitely agree with Jared on that. Lovely, majestic animals. And as soon as cars came around, you're off zooming hundreds of kilometers an hour and zooming around. So in terms of space, I feel like we're still at the horse stage. We're very, very, very early on in this space exploration. We've barely been to the moon. We haven't even been back to the moon properly, which is so close.
They're still finding out a lunar space, which there has been a lot of talk about it. Like a base, moon base. Some people
exactly, and there's SETI that is exploring space, and they haven't really found anything too much, and it's all up in the air. But it is the future, and people, like you said, Jared, it's up to them what they want to spend their money on. And if these people have millions and millions and they prefer to spend their money on flying to space instead of trying to eradicate poverty and, that kind of stuff, it's a real shame. But it's up to them. I really would try and convince them. Maybe to offshoot, if these people are flying to space and doing all these space things, maybe they can offshoot a percentage of that money to charity. I think that would be a good thing. That could work. We should lobby for that. We should lobby for these companies to put some of their money.
I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical on the idea of corporate charity because my main issue with corporate charity is that it's the way the laws about it are written. Like the way it works, according to the laws, at least in the United States, is that it's just one big tax loophole for them to donate money to themselves and essentially get a tax break for it. So I wouldn't be in favor of any type of corporate charity until our governments close those fucking loopholes. Because they're essentially
okay. But if the loopholes are closed, if the loopholes are closed, then why not? Like England. Yeah. I don't know if you guys know, but England was supposed to win the Euros. They didn't, unfortunately. Very sad about that. But they were going to donate the winning prize money to the National Health Service. That was something that the players wanted to come together to do for the country. So I don't think there's anything wrong with people coming together to donate money to good causes.
Oh, yeah, of course. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. My issue is I'm inherently distrustful of corporations. The players on a football team, like, they're human beings and they worked their asses off to get onto a team like that. All the respect for them. And when they say, like, if we win, we want to give the money as a team to this well-known charity, good. Do that. That's awesome. But when Google says, like, we're going to donate this amount of money, or Mark Zuckerberg says, I'm going to donate this amount of money personally to this charity, look at the charity. Most of the time, the money that they donate doesn't actually go to helping anybody. It goes in a roundabout way back into Facebook's own pocket. And they get a tax break for it.
Yeah, that's definitely not okay. Definitely against that.
Yeah. That's where my skepticism comes in.
Well, space is we definitely benefited a lot from space, like GPS and all those services that
Yeah.
we.
Dude,
But I can see your
the
point,
reason
Jared.
why we have laptops is because of space exploration. Because NASA worked their asses off to make computers small enough to fit on a rocket, so we could get to the moon before the Russians. So something good came out of the Cold War.
Yeah, and now we have a phone in our pocket that is stronger than the Apollo mission.
Exactly.
Crazy.
And it's all because of advances in computer technology NASA just funneled themselves into, all to make the Apollo mission work. And look how much industry they opened up, which is why U.S. Congress fund NASA, for fuck's sake. I mean, look at how much money we made off of NASA's technological developments. Seriously, it's great for the economy. Fund NASA.
And SpaceX.
SpaceX is a private company. They can do whatever the fuck they want. Fund NASA. SpaceX, fuck off.
All right. Cool. Yeah. So let's go for the next article. We have a lot of articles today, but we'll see what we can cover and leave the last few minutes for a philosophy section if you're all into it.
Hey, I'm down for it. I'm into anything. I'm a very
Cool.
disturbed human being.
All right. Speaking about human beings and society, Lebanon is days away from a social explosion, Prime Minister warns. It has been really bad in Lebanon ever since the explosion, even before the explosion that happened, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lebanon. It's truly a shame. Lebanon is a beautiful country with a beautiful history and just fantastic people.
Yeah, look at this.
I mean, I was just about to
saying here, I'm
calling.
1 second, I'm going to read this quote, Jared. It says here, I am calling on kings, princes, presidents, and leaders of our friendly countries, and I'm calling on the United Nations and all international organizations to help rescue Lebanon from its demise. It's pretty bad out there.
It's crazy.
Diab's the prime minister, right?
Who said that? It was Diab, yeah.
So the prime minister.
Yeah. It's complete madness over there, Aboud, and unfortunately, they have a terrorist organization which is very entrenched politically, and in South Lebanon controls a lot of everything. So it's a very, very tough situation over there. I know that they were offered aid from Israel and from a few other countries. I don't know. I don't really know what they accepted and what they didn't accept, and what countries are helping and not helping out. But definitely things need to be done to help the Lebanese people, because they're suffering over there. There's barely food in the shops. There's hardly any electricity. I don't think people outside really realize that it's that bad. Maybe the news images don't do it justice.
Even something that looks like that, it really doesn't do justice to the amount of suffering in Lebanon.
Yeah.
All right, we have a video here of some kind of fixing what's happening still from 2020, or I don't know if there's an older one though, but they also had this. Yeah, that's the explosion that happened, but they also had this explosion ever since, with the corona also, it's both things to deal with. So that's why Lebanon is really, really needs a lot of help for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the thing that kind of makes this so. Because let me put it this way: we're neighbors, us in Lebanon. Yet, due to the political situation, there's very little we can do for the people of Lebanon, or even our country can do for the people of Lebanon. Because Lebanon is essentially run by Hezbollah. Hezbollah is like a state within a state up there, and it's the only government that is in any way functional. And there's no way Israel could even do anything, because if Israel did send money or sent aid to help Lebanon, I highly doubt they would accept it, as Hezbollah would force them not to.
Yeah, they have a lot of control over there.
And I'm telling you, if it wasn't for Hezbollah, when the port explosion happened, we would have had IDF rescue units in Beirut helping with the situation, as we do for any other country in the world. But unfortunately, we can't send our people over there to help.
Yeah, we wish them the best, definitely. All right, let's go for the next one, guys. We have this time. Did you ever hear about what is the ransomware?
Ransomware, yeah, I know what it is.
So, for those who don't know, it's kind of like a virus that gets onto your computer and kind of might stop you from accessing your files or accessing your computer or something unless you pay a certain amount. And in this article, we have Revel, which is a kind of like a ransomware gang. It says, or is it a ransomware gang? I believe it's
Well, I mean, that's what it says right there. Ransomware gang website.
Ransomware gang websites disappear from the internet. I think Revel is what says that. But basically, it says here, websites for a Russian-linked ransomware gang blamed for attacks on hundreds of businesses worldwide have gone offline. So this is a good thing, basically. But we don't exactly know why did they go offline. They are assuming that there are that they got targeted, maybe even by U.S. President Joe Biden, because a month ago, they did talk about a ransomware against the U.S. government, and that the U.S. government did pay them, but then they found it, like they used the FBI to bring back that money that was paid in crypto, I believe, also.
Yeah, I mean that's typically how the U.S. government does it. But as you can see here, it says U.S. President Joe Biden spoke with Vladimir Putin, and a lot of this cybercrime stuff is linked to Russia. And I mean, look, but if people think the FBI is scary, the Russian FSB it's basically the KGB, with how scary the FBI can be, any Russian secret service is 10 times worse. So I have no doubt that if in an agreement between Biden and Putin, Biden said, deal with this cybercrime in Russia, Putin's Secret Service or the FSB already knew who these people were, knew where they were, and were just waiting for an order for Putin to be tired of them or to have no more use for them to be taken out.
Well, there's a lot of those guys in Russia. Maybe that's why. There's a lot of internet crime coming out of Russia. I know
that's the thing. That's the thing, Amir. This internet crime and the cyber war, I think it can be, if it really explodes, it can be even scarier than the virus pandemic that we have now. It could be like a cyber pandemic, that can affect even viruses around the computer. I mean, don't think that this is really hard to happen. It can happen. It might be around the horizon. That's why we're hearing some of these things, especially with crypto these days. The world is becoming more global, more connected. And think about it. We got connected, and the virus pandemic even got easier. So maybe cybersecurity is next.
I agree with you partially, Aboud. I don't know if it's more scary than the virus, because obviously the virus is killing people, but it can definitely have a big effect on the world. If there's a huge cyber war, and if there's crazy stuff going on online, and there already is, right? I don't know if you're aware, Aboud, but what happened in the football was England lost on penalties, and 3 players that missed the penalties after it happened were racially abused in crazy.
I saw an article saying 3 blacks missing penalties. They really did that title.
I don't know. I didn't see that title specifically. I didn't see that specifically, but look, it's just not called for. And it is only a small percent of people, but it's a small percent of people that are making a big amount of noise. But recently, people have been coming out against it and fighting against it. But it's still it's an underlying issue that we have in society that nobody's really dealing with, And these people that are committing these acts of hate online, because that's what they are at the end of the day, they're acts of hate. You're just like if you were in front of someone and you said something that was hateful, you're just doing it on online version. So
you're doing it.
I guess it's up to tech companies and governments.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So tech companies and governments need to figure this out and how they're going to tackle this. I guess it's a pandemic at this stage. The hate online. It's at pandemic levels.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just hate online; it's also misinformation online. And anytime the tech companies ever try to do it, people decry them for censorship. Like Twitter and Facebook started shutting down QAnon accounts because they were leading to real world violence in America and around the world. And people started going on Fox News. People started just going on radio shows saying, "Oh, look, they're stifling us. This is censorship. They're violating freedom of speech." So they've kind of screwed themselves at this point because they have to do something because it's causing real world issues. But at the same time, they've been letting it go for so long that there's enough people who believed in this bullshit, whether it be racist or conspiratorial, that anytime they try to tackle the problem, they're going to get decried as for censorship. They put themselves in this position. And honestly, they need to do something, and I have no sympathy for any of the consequences they serve, whether it be bad publicity or whatever, because really that's all that's going to happen to these companies is just bad publicity.
Well, speaking about bad publicity.
Yeah, it's a difficult word, don't worry.
Yeah, we have this anti-Semitic content on TikTok that surges 900%. Like 900%, that's a big number.
Big number.
What's going on, guys? Why are we seeing a lot of people that are becoming anti-Semitic? Do you have any idea?
They were already anti-Semitic. They just moved on to TikTok because Facebook and Twitter started to take people down. So they just moved on to a newer platform that has less controls because they're still figuring it out.
Good
it does
point.
say here that by the ICT, Institute for Counterterrorism in Herzliya, that these are the ones who did this research at the end of a 4-month systematic content analysis of videos and comments and usernames. 41% increase in anti-Semitic posts and 1,375% uptick in usernames with anti-Semitic titles, such as Holocaust was, oh my God,
and evil Jews, yeah.
Wow. So
honestly, I've seen worse. That shit's tame.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen worse.
COVID-19 viewed under a microscope. Interesting. And then hats of Jewish kippah or something. So yeah, a lot of people thinking that the Jewish people caused the pandemic, apparently.
What can I tell you, Abood? What can I tell you? Look, this is exactly what we're fighting against. It's childish. At the end of the day, I honestly think any type of online mockery of anyone, not just anti-Semitism, but of anyone, any form of racism, any form of hate, it's just childish. Get yourself a new hobby. Go for a run in the park. Go for a chat with someone in a coffee shop. Go watch a movie. Just do anything apart from
sitting behind the screen and saying those things becomes easier, right? When you're behind the screen, or
you get to hide like a coward behind a screen.
But don't these people have anything better to do? That's what I'm saying, Abood. Life is short, Life is short. You got to make the best of it. You got to do what you got to do. You got to enjoy every little minute. What are they getting from putting this hate out there in the world? That's something that I don't understand what they get from it. I don't know.
Look, I've thought about it for a while, and in my opinion, the reason why people act out hate is, how do I put it? How when you see something really sad and you just have to cry, and if you hold that in, it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse until when you actually do let it out, it's just a flood out of your eyes. I feel like it's that way for hatred. It's the same type. It's the same fundamental thing. The hate builds up in them, the anger, and they just have to spew it out, and they'll find ways to do it.
Right. Do you have to express it? You either channel it or you have to kind of let it out one way or another.
Exactly. No, I'm not a psychologist, but I do know some basic things, and there are certain factors that lead people to fall into being anti-Semitic, racist, homophobic, whatever ism you are. And a lot of the time, it's just feelings of anger that get built up over time. You start looking for things to be angry at, and hate is just one of those channels. And I mean, like, this is nothing new. People blaming us for coronavirus. People blamed us for the plague, even though we were dying right next to them. Like, people are just angry at the bad things that are going on in the world, and they're just looking for a boogeyman. And
people blamed us for more things than that, Jared. People blamed us for making matzahs out of dead Christian babies. People blamed us for killing Jesus, which is a very, very common one that is out there, and unfortunately is very far from the truth. And these lies have perpetuated for centuries now. So I guess it's time to do a bit of myth busting. You know that show, Mythbusters? We're out here to bust those myths and just, get people to realize, because I think people are smart enough these days, right? We have the technology. You have all the information at your fingertips. So if you're really interested in something, and if you're interested about the Middle East, religion, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. Come and check it out. Come and check it all out. We have the birthplace of all of civilization, guys, we go back further. Let's go back further than just Judaism, Christianity, Islam. If that's not enough for you, the Judaism, Christianity, Islam, you can go back to ancient Egypt, to Mesopotamia, to Akkad, to Sumer, to Sumeria, to Akkadians, to Sumerian. It's full. Zoroastrianism. We're full up here of wonders.
I mean, you're really true about that. Oh, but before we go on into the philosophy section, I want to state something that, like, you have, like, you as a European and a Abood as someone who's always lived here hasn't heard. But in America, the white supremacists blame the civil rights movement on the Jews.
The civil rights movement? Wow.
Civil rights. Like, according to the white supremacists, the reason why the blacks got uppity and fought against Jim Crow is because we controlled them. Legit, like that's an American neo-Nazi KKK myth. Jews control the blacks. Blacks are just soldiers for the Jews. Like, that is a whole thing over in the States.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then there are also
that's the problem when you blame people with just these things. It's obviously a problem, because you're going to have this kind of pre-notion that these people are bad, and you're going to categorize them and put them in one category. And
then anything you see that's bad, they just gets attributed to this bad thing that's already in your head.
Yeah, one person I know that kind of tries to fix the idea, like, against anti-Semitism is Rudy Ruchman, but you heard about what happened to him.
I'm aware. Let's go through it.
We gotta read the whole thing.
So it says here, Israeli filmmakers arrested in Nigeria while filming documentary on local Jewish community. This is Rudy Ruchman. We had him on the podcast. You can go check out this episode if you haven't already.
Yeah, you can check out the episode here or here. I don't know here. Like, somebody can put up the link once
in the description.
Once we figure out how to do that.
Rudy Ruchman and Andrew and also Edward David were in Nigeria filming "We Were Never Lost," a documentary about Jewish communities in African countries, including Kenya, Madagascar, Uganda, and Nigeria. So basically, it says here that they were three, like we said, and they designed to educate viewers about the religious and cultural experiences of lesser-known Jewish communities. But apparently they got, stopped. Did he go out already from jail? Did anyone hear about it?
Not yet. So they've been detained, Abood. They've been detained over there by the authorities. And they're trying to stick them with all these kinds of accusations. But I'm really hoping that it's going to be a happy end for Rudy and his team over there. Hopefully they'll be released. I think the family put out a little statement just to give a little update of his situation. And at the moment, the French Israeli authorities are, in coordination over there. And I'm hoping to hear in a few days that he's out of there and on a flight to his next destination, because this documentary that he's out there filming is really important. Getting the information out there about the Igbo Jews and these tribes in Africa that still follow a form of Judaism. So I really hope he can just get out of there as soon as possible, basically, and head on to his next destination.
Yeah, apparently he got stopped and detained because they accused him of what he's doing being having a political intention, but he says that it was purely for educational purposes.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sure it was purely for educational purposes. Sometimes governments like to make these kinds of arrests. I don't know if you've recently seen there was an arrest in Belarus of a journalist, and there's a lot of these kind of things happen when they suspect things are going on. Unfortunately, I just think that in general, government shouldn't be that suspicious of their own people to want to jump on them and just for filming a documentary. It's
Well,
it's
there's
not a good look for Nigeria. I mean, I know they're fighting
not at all.
they're fighting Boko Haram and stuff out there, so there is terrorism out there, and they're fighting against a lot of that kind of stuff. But it's no excuse to just go and arrest someone.
Yeah, well, there's factors in it that make it worse because, the team aren't Nigerian citizens. I imagine they have Nigerians who they hired to help them once they got there, but the main people behind the documentary are not Nigerian, which makes it easier for the Nigerian government to detain them. Governments, especially places in nations that are in the midst of a conflict like Nigeria, as you said, Amir, with Boko Haram and everything, they're way more trigger happy with their suspicion of foreigners when it comes to arrests. That's just something that's always been an issue. Hell, there's American journalists who can tell you how difficult it is to not get arrested whenever they want to go film a story about what's going on in Kurdistan, whether it be on the Iraqi Turkish side of the border. This is just a fact of how governments react when they're on the defensive. Because Nigeria is fighting to keep itself as a single thing. Boko Haram and then there's Igbo separatists in the south, which I haven't heard of before. I guess it's just because they're not in the international news. But apparently it's a big enough problem that the government fears people finding out about it.
Yeah. I think it's also Nigeria is very tribal, and there's hundreds of different languages over there, and it's very diverse ethnically. All I want to hear is that he's out of there and either home safe or at his next destination filming. So let's try and keep updated on that situation, Abu, for sure.
Yeah, we definitely wish him the best, for sure.
Definitely.
Good friend of ours. All right. What do you think, guys? Philosophy section a little bit. Jared, what question has been bothering you all your life?
Question has been bothering me all my life? I don't know. I'm pretty content. But here's a question I can pose to you guys.
Okay.
Do our lives have a purpose? Do we have a destiny? And if not, how does that make you feel?
Okay, I can go ahead if you want, Amir. That's
my
view.
Sure. Go ahead, man.
So I think that this is, I like to believe this, and I believe it's probably true that we have, basically life might be incredibly meaningless. That is the meaning of it, that you choose what would be its meaning. It is purposeless, so purposeless that you have a complete choice to choose the purpose of it. You see the thing? So it kind of goes all the way around. And if we did have a purpose, I believe that would limited us. Or you can argue in another way, that what's the purpose of a flower? To make the bees, kind of go there and whatever, do its job. And you can argue about that, but it's kind of an endless thing. That's the thing, what I could say. It's a harsh question though, but hard question though. But how would I feel about it? I think people do love to have a purpose in their lives. I think it makes them wake up in the morning. And I think, that's why I said we choose our purpose based on what we have.
It's an interesting take, Abood. It's a very interesting take. I'm going to take a little bit more of a cheesy, answer, because I do think there is a purpose. I like to believe that anyway. Whether it's true or not is another story. But I like to believe that there is a purpose, and that people that strive and aim to reach certain things can go out there and really aim for that and get to where they want to be. And I do think everyone has their own special, unique qualities and things that they're good at, and ways of interacting with people, and music, and so many things. So I that's what I like.
The possibilities are endless. Yeah. You look at the human body and you see all the things that we're equipped with. So you would argue there is a purpose to them, right? To all these qualities that we have. But then again, what purpose? That's the question. So.
Yeah. Well, I agree more with Abood's point on it. That's where I lie. Like, why am I here? No reason. I am. It just happened and whatever. Like the same reason why I'm sitting on the left side of the couch rather than the right side. I just did.
Yeah, I don't think what you said, Amir, conflicts with what we said. I don't think it is, but I do see your point.
But what I want to just say in terms of what Jared said, Abood, like maybe there is a reason you choose that right side of the sofa. Maybe you like that right side better. Maybe the view is better. Maybe your view of the window is better from the right side, and that's why you psychologically take that side. There are
factors to it.
I mean, the possibilities are endless. You say, why am I here just for no purpose? But maybe there is a purpose behind that. Maybe Jared's here to gift us with some of his, amazing linguistical skills and history and knowledge. Who's to say? I don't know. I definitely don't have any answers, but I'm just saying that it's a possibility. It's a possibility.
Yeah. It could be, but I don't really see any evidence. Let me put it this way, because I've had this conversation before with some religious people who say, "Oh yeah, no, we do have a purpose. The world was made for us." They're looking at it through the eyes of religion. But I say this: here's an argument that some people have been using, and this is the perfect analogy. Say a puddle in the ground just woke up one day, all of a sudden was entirely sentient, and said, "Wow, look at this world. I fit into it so perfectly. This little dirge in the ground. It's almost like it was made for me. It has to have been made for me." That's kind of where we are. And think about it. It's where we are as humans. We look at this world that we fit into, seemingly to us so perfectly, despite the fact that everything in the natural world wants to kill us. We just think it was made for us, but it's not.
You remind me of the survival part, Jared, because you might ask, who survives, and you might say the strongest, right, or the fittest, the survival of the fittest. But I also want to remind you that it's not necessarily the strongest; it's the most adaptive.
Well, that's what survival of the fittest means. It's like which species best fits its environment and the way it goes about living.
Right, that's the word fit. True.
Yeah, that's what the word fit means. Like, people who don't understand evolution think it means that gorillas are better than we are. No, gorillas aren't better than we are. They're just different. Right. That's where people get confused. Like, there's no such thing as a higher or a lower being. There are just different beings. Think about it this way: which is objectively a better form of life, a Homo sapien or a two-born. I mean, Homo
Both have
sapiens
a
are better at living on dry land and, building all these technologies. But we couldn't survive in the bottom of Mariana's Trench and live off a chemical soup leaking up from the Earth's crust.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're just better suited for our environment than they are for theirs. There's no
But then
such thing
is there
as
a purpose for that? Is there a purpose for you being better suited to this beautiful planet that we have?
No. I am
Experience.
the product of a bunch of coincidences, of a bunch of different animals fucking until they made me. That's how I exist. It's a very crude thing to say, but I don't really see a purpose in my existence, which is liberating to me because I invent my.
What
purpose.
if
I make my own?
But what if the life's purpose is its own purpose? Like the eye's purpose is to see, and the fire, for example, can't burn itself. You know what I mean? So life is its own purpose. Life is just life. Something like that.
Maybe.
So
you know what?
yeah,
Audience, you let us know down below because we're running out of time.
We have around 3 minutes. I think we could talk a little bit about where is the podcast going, guys. What do you think? What's new with the podcast? What guests do we have soon? We definitely gonna have really interesting guests soon. Two of them they live in a refugee camp near Nablus called Askar. So I'm excited to bring them on and talk about their lives here and how they grew up here, and hear their story. Do we have anything on Saturday? This
yeah, we do. We have a few things set up. It's going to be great. We're working on a few other things are in the works. Hopefully, we'll get a few things set up for August. Definitely trying to do a couple of things over there during the summer. We just really need your guys' support. Don't forget to leave some likes and comments. And really, the most important thing that can help us get out there is you guys sharing our links out there to friends that you might think will enjoy the podcast, enjoy OPP Global, enjoy some of the talks with the guests. So please do your best, share as much as you can. Leave a sub below if you haven't already. And looking forward to seeing you next time on the show.
Yeah.
Right. Amazing. You heard them here. If you want to help us grow, don't forget to leave a like, leave us up if you haven't already, leave a comment, and maybe support us on Patreon. Even a few dollars would help us promote the podcast and
definitely. And maybe Abood, shall we mention as well that we really do want to take this to the next level and make it more professional. And we definitely want to get a studio together in the future. We're quite far away from it at the moment, but I'm sure it's something that we're going to make happen in the future.
100%.
Because we really want to bring you guys the best quality. Obviously, it's hard doing it from our homes, and everyone's working and everyone's busy and studying. We really hope that we can get that studio together and get cracking on this podcast.
Yeah,
absolutely. Hey, Jared, what's that? There's been something behind you. What is that?
Oh, where?
I'm not kidding. It's behind you.
What?
Oh, it's gone.
Oh, shit. You motherfucker. You son of a bitch. You had me actually convinced for a second that there was something on my wall. You son of a bitch.
Ask Amir. It was. Anyway.
Whatever. Buy Harbach Tahini. Just buy it. Just please. It'll shut him up.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, here at Open Peace Podcast, we do support the use of healthy foods. That's why our sponsor is Harbracha Tahini. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have an amazing day, an amazing night, wherever you live on this beautiful earth, and see you in the next episode. Go ahead, Jared, if you want to close down the episode and slap us out of existence.
You motherfucker. Bye!